afternoon from Uruguay. We started our day off in Colonia del Sacramento, and we've just come off a 3-hour coach journey, and we've arrived in Montevideo, which is the capital.
It turns out that the bus station is quite a distance from where we're planning to stay, so we are currently just waiting on an Uber to take us through to our accommodation.
I think the Uber is going to cost us about $10 Canadian, which isn't cheap, but it's also not that expensive. We've just arrived to our AirBNB in Montevideo, but we don't have anything planned for today, so we will pick this vlog up tomorrow when we do our favorite thing when we get to a new city. So if you don't watch our vlogs regularly, you'll have to stay tuned to find out what that is.
Stay tuned anyway, though.
Good morning
from Montevideo. As promised last night, we are about to head out on our free walking tour of the old city here, so let's go check it out.
Montevideo is the largest city in and capital of Uruguay. The country is divided into 19 departments, the smallest of which is Montevideo, where half of the country's 3 million people reside.
In late 1723, Portuguese colonizer Manuel de Freitas da Fonseca built a small settlement in what is now Montevideo. However, the Portuguese were forced to abandon the settlement in early 1724 after a Spanish expedition, led by Bruno Mauricio de Zabala, was sent from Buenos Aires to establish a walled city now known as Ciudad Vieja. Plaza Matriz is the oldest square in the city, having been founded in 1726. The Metropolitan Cathedral was consecrated in 1804 and sits across from the Cabildo, the government house used during colonial times, in Plaza Matriz, which is also referred to as Constitution Plaza since the Constitution was signed there in 1830.
¡Vamos Uruguay, vamos!
The British invaded the Viceroyalty of Rio de la Plata, present-day Montevideo, in early 1807, but it was recaptured by the Spanish later that same year. Inspired by the May Revolution in Buenos Aires, José Gervasio Artigas led Uruguay's first revolution against the Spanish in 1811. By 1814, the Spanish were expelled from Montevideo. However, shortly after, in 1816, Montevideo was invaded by the Portuguese, and in 1821 the city was annexed by Brazil. In 1825, Artigas, along with other independence leaders, José Fructuoso Rivera and Juan Lavalleja, led a second revolution, this time against Brazil, with the support of Argentina and Britain, which ended with Uruguay gaining its independence in 1828.
In 1829, demolition of the old city walls began, signaling the transition between colonial and republican eras. Built in 1745, Puerta de la Ciudadela was the only entrance to the old city and is one of the few remaining parts of the old city walls. The old fortress was demolished in 1878, and Plaza Zabala was built in its place in 1890. Plaza Independencia is the main square of the Ciudad Nueva, or New City, and is surrounded by Palacio Salvo, completed in 1928, Esteves Palace, the original seat of the Uruguayan government, Executive Tower, the official workplace of the President of Uruguay, and Solis Theatre, the country's most important theatre that opened in 1856.
Grapamine has 25% alcohol. It's not hard for kids.
Gracias.
Here we say salud. Salud.
Salud.
Like it?
Much better than normal grappa.
Yeah.
Because of the
grappa
honey.
is horrible.
Yeah. We've just finished our walking tour of Montevideo, and our tour guide Jorge was a fountain of historical knowledge, but he delivered it in such a comical and entertaining way. I just feel so lucky because we've been on really, really good free walking tours of late.
Yeah, we've been really spoiled when it's come to the people that we've been able to be paired with when it comes to guided tours. I think probably one of the cool things about Uruguay is it seems to be different in its approach to the rest of South America. And all of those things seem to make it a very open, very safe, very progressive country. Getting to know about all of that and how that came about is really cool.
Yeah, the government seems to be stable. I think what stood out to me is that the presidential office doesn't really have guards around it.
Nope.
And he was saying that the president is able to freely walk around without much security and no one bothers them. And that, I think, in part is due to the fact that apparently there's no re-elections here. You're given your 5-year term and then they have to elect someone new. So probably you don't get absolutely sick of someone, nor can anyone become too authoritarian.
Exactly. So yeah, it just like literally a combination of all of that just makes for a really nice place to be.
But it's now lunchtime and there were only 3 of us on the tour, so we got to know the other person who was with us, and we're all going to go out for lunch and try something that is traditionally Uruguayan.
So as we've gone through Argentina and Uruguay, we've heard about this amazing drink called mate. And apparently it's a herbal tea, which is very strong, quite bitter. But basically everybody in this region of South America absolutely swears by it. But it's very difficult to find in like a cafe or a restaurant. It's not the same as like trying to find a really good coffee. Because it's a very social thing that people do at home, then it's actually really hard to find out and about. But this is one of the very few places in Montevideo where you can actually buy it and have it served to you. So we're going to give this a go.
And if you look inside, this is where all the herbs are. And then you take water from the thermos and you pour it in here. And then the top of the straw here is a filter.
Okay. It tastes like a very smoky green tea. That's probably the best way that I can describe it. But it is very nice. Like apparently this is meant to be like the most bitter hit, and after that it gets really enjoyable. So yeah, really excited for this.
For lunch, Nick and I are sharing a typically Uruguayan dish called Chivito, and basically what it is beef, egg, cheese, bacon. It's served with French fries, a ton of vegetables, salad, and normally you can get it on a sandwich, but you can also get it served as a full plate, which is what we've done because then you can share it between 2 people. As you can see, this is a massive amount of food, and it really includes everything: vegetables, meat, carbs. Cannot wait to dig in.
We just walked back to our Airbnb, and I'm kind of glad that we had a walk because that was a huge meal. Delicious, but huge. And just so you know, that was not a cheap meal either. This isn't going to be one of our budget recommendations. It was recommended to us by our tour guide as one of the best places to get Chivito in Montevideo, and I can't say that he was wrong. I haven't tried every Chivito in Montevideo, but that was delicious, but not cheap.
The other reason that we actually ended up going to that restaurant is apparently it's the one place in the city where you can get mate. So really, if you are looking for a budget experience, then perhaps that's not the place. But if you're looking to get some proper Uruguayan food, have your first experience of mate, not least because the server actually kind of talks you through the whole experience as well, then it is definitely worth doing. And since we had been kind of seeking that experience as well, this was a real treat for us today.
Yeah, I'm really glad we got to try authentic food and finally found somewhere where we could try mate, since, as Nick mentioned before, it's not often served at cafes or restaurants. It's just something that's enjoyed at home. But I don't know why everyone's so scared of it.
Right.
All of the locals really give you a warning about how bitter it is and how you probably won't like it, how it's an acquired taste, but I quite liked it. I think that if you are someone who likes matcha and green tea, you'll probably be fine with it.
Exactly, like as long as you're not averse to something that's like a little less on the sweet side and something that might be a bit more smoky. The people that I'm kind of thinking of who would really enjoy this the most would be like Scotch drinkers and people who enjoy their matcha. Basically any kind of combination of that, I think you'll really, really like mate.
But we don't have anything else planned for the day.
So we're going to call it here, but we'll definitely be picking this up tomorrow, where we'll be exploring a little bit more of Montevideo. Until next time, take care.
And keep smiling.